Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Dave and today I'm going to be doing some maintenance work on my mini digger. I'm going to be changing the engine oil and replacing the engine oil filter. For those that are new to the channel that haven't seen this particular machine before, this is a UHI branded machine. It's a 1.2 ton excavator and this particular model came with the Yanmar 3-cylinder diesel engine. The model number on this one is a 3TN V70. It's an 854cc engine, puts out about 10 kilowatts. I've had this machine for about 18 months now and I haven't had an ounce of trouble with it. It's been fine, it's been nice and smooth, easy to use, so it's all good. Just as a note here also, I've had people comment before on these machines saying, yeah, it might be a Yanmar engine but it's made in China. It's actually a Japanese made Yanmar engine, so there's nothing to worry about with that. Being an older model, 18 months old, this model has been updated and there's a video in the video list on the new UME12P model. So this is a slightly older model. So to get into the area where we need to change the filters, we need to take a couple of these panels out and get in there to get the filter out, which is sort of down here somewhere. I'll also take the floor mat off and maybe the floor panels as well. I just want to have a look down in where all the hydraulic hoses and everything are running, just to make sure that that's still okay, that none of the hoses are rubbing or we don't have any major oil leaks down the bottom as well. This machine is a little bit harder to service. This has got a solid rear back on it. If you look at that newer video on the 12P model, it's got a swing door that opens up, which makes it a lot easier to access to service filters and so forth. And also the difference is this Yanmar engine actually faces to the left, so the radiator is over there on the left hand side. In the newer models on the Kubota engines, they have reversed it, so the engine faces the right hand side, which means that all your service items and filters and so forth are right behind the opening door on the new model. So that's a real big plus. I particularly like that on the new models. Anyway, let's not just talk about it, let's get on and start doing something. Now, before we start any of the work shown in this video, I would strongly suggest that if your machine is still under warranty, that you contact your local dealer and just check with them that it's okay to do the work. My machine is still under a 3-year parts warranty. I did ring UHI and they said it was okay for me to do the work. Now this plate here, you don't have to remove that. That's the inspection plate that covers up access to get into the dipstick if you want to pull the dipstick out to check the oil level. Normally if you were going to do that, you just loosen off one of these bolts and then the rest of it will swing up out of the way and you can get in there to get the dipstick out. And you probably will need the torch on your phone to actually find where it's got to go back in, because it's got to go a fair way down in there and it's a bit hard to see. But that panel is really only used for when we're checking our oil. It's recommended that they say in the owner manual to check the oil every time before use. So we're just going to leave that closed, and now we're going to take out these bolts here and take this plate off. Now when you take this plate off here, you have to remember that there's two bolts that are underneath the floor mat here. So I'm just going to take this floor mat up actually and get it out of the way. I know a lot of people don't like this floor mat, that it's one of the first things they say is when they get the machine that they take it out, but I don't know, I'm quite happy to do it. Some people think that it you know, gets moisture underneath and ends up rusting and so forth, but you know, I don't know, maybe. I'll just get this out. It's a bit wet in there because I've just pressure washed it a couple of minutes ago. So once we've done that, this plate, oh, still got one more to go. Up here. One thing you'll notice when you're putting this back together is very few of these holes actually line up with the threads. There's a lot of swearing and cursing going on when you're putting it back together to get all the bolts to go in properly. Okay, so that panel is removed. Here you can see the top of the dipstick on the yellow handle. Where we need to get to is down here. So the engine oil filter is this one here, and I'm just looking at this and thinking that it's very close to the back of the battery, and I'm not too sure. I can't remember whether there's enough room to spin this off without taking the battery out, or whether you need to take the battery out. I guess we'll find when we start spinning it off. There's a diesel filter that's there. I haven't changed that filter as yet. I think there is a spare in the kit that comes with the excavator, but I'm not going to change that one today. I'm just going to start the machine up and run it just to make sure the oil's nice and warm before I pull it out. So 10 or 15 seconds on the glow plug. I'll just let that idle for a couple of minutes and bring it up to temperature. Okay, we're underneath the bottom of the digger now, and you can see this is the sump of the Yanmar engine, and it's got a drain plug there, and it's nicely put in this cutout to the floor, which is great. I have seen some brands of machines where it's very hard to get access to the oil drain plug, and sometimes you have to just let oil sort of flow through the bottom of the floor in the machine, which isn't great. So this is great, this cutout here. So for the Yanmar engine it works quite well. I've got my oil change bucket here, and I've just cleaned it out, taken all the dirt out of it. I just want to have a look at the oil when I take it out to make sure there's no shiny bits or anything in there. So I've got that ready to go. I'll just put that underneath. It's probably going to be too big to fit under there, isn't it? Oh, don't you hate that? Right, what to do? Okay, so I've just got a bit of cardboard, just made a bit of a funnel to run that into the oil container. This is just normal cardboard. Usually a beer carton is great. You know, you get the shiny side or the gloss side on a beer carton. Usually if you cut that up and make a bit of a funnel, you can do the same thing as well. Okay, I've got my 17mm metric socket. Make sure it's going the right way. And just be careful of this, because if it's been running, it will be hot. Quite a long thread on it, and I'll probably drop it in the oil. Here's a long thread. Winding, winding, winding. Here we go. I'll just go and open the top oil filler so we get some air going in. It'll come out a little bit quicker. This is the drain plug. It looks nice and clean, so there's nothing on there. I don't think it's magnetic. It doesn't look to be, but it's nice and clean anyway. I wouldn't expect the oil to have much stuff in it, but I'll still have a look at it when I pour it into a jug just to see what's floating around in the bottom of it. Right, well, I've left that drain for about 10 minutes. There's a few little drops still there, but I think I'll put the plug back in, making sure that there's a gasket on there, which there is still. I'm just going to reuse it. I'm not going to put a new one on. I'll put that back in. Looks quite good. Get rid of my U-Butte cardboard. Thank you very much. And I'll just make sure that's nice and tight. Click. Put my used motor oil back into some old containers and take it to the recycling centre at our local council. You can take in used motor oil and get it recycled. They have big tanks there you can pour the oil into, or you can just leave them in the 5-litre jugs. The only thing you have to remember is which pile of jugs have got old oil and which pile of jugs have got new oil. Alright, so that's pretty well drained off now. And let's just have a look in here. Looking for anything untoward in there, but I can't see anything. Not that I would expect to with a engine that's only got about 50 hours on it, so all that looks good. Right, I've got my, that's the filter here. I ended up taking the battery out just to give me some more room to make it a bit clearer to video, plus it's a little bit easier for me. So I'm using one of these strap type filter removals. There's lots of different versions of this around. There's rubber ones. You can get ones that have like a vice type thing on the end of them. You can have ones that actually attach to the end of the filter. So with this one, you just basically get it tight with the strap, and then it starts to move it. They're great if you've got room, but sometimes you haven't got the room, so that's good. Now I'm just going to put some shop towels underneath here, because there's going to be a bit of oil that's coming out of that filter. Is that? Oh yeah, I can. Yep, here we go. So hopefully those towels will grab any remnants that's in the filter. I'll just spin that off. Well, there wasn't too much there. Alrighty, let's talk about oil filters, and this is the one that came off the machine. And when they're new, when you get them from the dealer, they come with a service pack, I suppose, if that's what you call it, that's got filters and air filters, and I think there's a diesel filter and a hydraulic filter. And this is the original Yanmar oil filter that came with my machine, and it's got a part number there. And I've never used this. I always just keep it as a bit of a reference so I know what I need to get. And in Australia, for the Australian viewers, I'll know this particular brand of filter, this Ryco brand, is quite popular out here. And to get the equivalent, what I did was I typed in the Yanmar number and then I did a cross-reference with a Wix filter and a Cooper filter. And then once I got that number, I cross-referenced that to a Ryco filter and I came up with this one. So for this digger with the Yanmar engine, it needs a Z436 Ryco filter. And it's just got to make sure that they're going to fit, obviously. So you're looking that the size of the filter is the same, that the thread is the same and the thread pitch is the same, the diameter of the rubber seal is the same, and also the distance from the top of this to the rubber seal is the same on both of them. These Ryco ones for us in Australia are quite easy to get and they're quite cheap. They are rated as a OEM equivalent, so they're a good quality filter. They have anti-drain back valves in the bottom there, and so that's what we're going to put on. Don't know if you can see that clearly. That anti-drain back valve is down the bottom, and a lot of these Ryco filters have them now, so that stops the oil running out of the filter when your engine stops and keeps the filter charged, which makes it much better on startup, meaning your oil filter isn't empty. So I'm just going to get a bit of oil and rub around that seal and lube that up a little bit. And we'll put that on. Just clean up around there again. That's pretty good. Take that away. I'm just going to take my glove off so I can tighten it by hand. And really it doesn't need to go crazy tight, just tight enough to keep the seal there. That's fine, and I've got the hours written there and also the date, so I know when to change it again. Well, it's probably a good thing I actually did take the battery out, so now I can have a bit of a look around here and just see if there's any oil leaks or anything. And I can just have a bit of a clean up here just to see if any of these hoses are sort of rubbing on each other or doing any damage. I can see that this one here is quite close to that one. I can't actually got enough room in. I think I'll just put it above it, but there wasn't any wearing on that, so that's okay. A lot of these other ones have like extra cabling around them as well, so I don't think they're going to be a problem. That's missing that one, all right. Well, that looks okay, I think. This plate up and swing it across. Long bolt here that goes down into a threaded nut in the floor. That's good. Doesn't have to be crazy tight, it's just got to hold it in place, which is good. 16mm for that one. all right. Yep. Plastic cover back on. Try and not earth this out, otherwise we'll have some sparks. That's good. Put that rubber cut back on there somehow. Good. Okay, just about to put the oil in, and on these Yanmar engines there's actually two oil filler caps that you can use, because they make them for different uses. They give you a couple of different options. So there's one down here where you can put the oil in, or as if you tilt the seat forward, there is one up the top here. I'm going to use this one to put the oil in. The oil I'm going to put in today is a Valvoline oil. It's 15W40 weight, and it's just a sort of a general oil I bought from the local Supercheap store. Just be a bit careful when you read the owner's manual that comes with the machine, because I did notice when I was reading the manual to find out how many litres the engine takes of oil, it had in there a completely different engine number, different model number. Said it was 965 cc's or something, where it's not. So just take that with a grain of salt. I think I looked up once before when I did this that it was about 3 litres. So I'll put about 2.5 litres in, and then have a look at the dipstick and see how we're going. Yeah, it needs a little bit more. I think a bit hard to see there, but I think it's about halfway on the dipstick, so a little bit more. Okay, so according to this, I put in just a fraction under 3 litres. I might just put in this little bit extra here and make it 3 litres exactly, and she should be sweet. Now, some of you may ask, what are the blue shop towels that I've been using in this video? These are an American-made Scott's shop towels. You see them in a lot of the American videos, but they are very hard to buy these in Australia, and I finally tracked them down at COSTCO. I'll put the link in the video description for these. If you can find them, then I would suggest you buy them. They're fantastic, they're strong, and they're a lot better than a paper towel or using a rag. Righto then, that's just about a job done. So that was a good afternoon's exercise. So we've managed to drain the old engine oil out of the Yanmar engine. We put a new oil filter on, we put new fresh 15W40 weight oil in, and it's ready to go again. And when you consult the owner's manual, if you get one with these machines, they can be all over the place. One I looked at said to change the engine oil initially at 50 hours, and then at 100 hours, and then 250 hours, and so on. So I guess it depends on how much you're using it. I mean, I certainly don't use this that much. So for me, it's more about changing it on a time period, you know, every 12 months or something like that if I'm not using it. So just check with the documentation that you've got on your digger, or maybe go to the Yanmar website or the Kubota website and see if it's got details on oil change periods there. But it was pretty easy to do. I think anybody that's got probably just the minimum sort of mechanical knowledge, so if you fiddle around with old cars or motorcycles, then you know, there shouldn't really be a problem to change the oil in the filter in one of these little engines. So I'm pleased I've done that. That can go on the ticked off list. And I think while I've got the digger in the workshop here, I'm actually going to go through and re-grease all the grease fittings or the zerk fittings on the stick and the boom and all the pivot pins here. And I've got a very special tool that has come all the way from the UK that I'm going to try for the very first time on doing that job. That'll be the next video that's coming up in a couple of days, so stay tuned for that one. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate all your support. Please like, share and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.